Cowgirl Kind is a beef tallow skincare business based on high quality, small batches made with care and intention. All ingredients are carefully and thoughtfully sourced for the highest quality. It is an incredibly effective product. Cowgirl Kind is locally owned and handmade by Melinda Kirkby. Visit cowgirlkind.com. At Arena Mindset, we are empowering athletes to transform their lives by cultivating grit, resilience, purpose, and authenticity. We believe the mind is an athlete's most powerful tool, and by overcoming the challenges of mental performance, they can build unshakable confidence and achieve success in every arena of life. I was gonna say,
I don't want to be like,
you're like one of the more experienced people I've had on the show at
I
this
used to
point.
do a radio. I was on the radio live every Thursday. Did I do Tuesday or Thursday? I did it Thursdays. No, Tuesdays. I do have, my memory kind of sucks on certain things, but every week it was a live radio show in the Wickenburg radio station. It was called the Arizona Roping Report, and I'd go live, and when I first started doing it, I wanted to be taped, and the head DJ, he's like really good. This guy's like a legend in Arizona. He's like, no, you're going live. It's going to be like pure whatever. He goes, taping it's no good, and editing it. He goes, it's live. You're live. And I was so nervous. I mean, it was like my heart was going to explode out of my chest, right? Because there was a lot of people listening. But I'd be like, hey, Arizona, this is Jason Hershberger, and I'm coming, hey Arizona, I'm Jason Hershberger, and you're listening to the 96.3 Real Country Roping Report. Let's talk about what happened this week at Rancho Rios. And I had all the results.
That's awesome.
And it was pretty cool. I would only be like a few minutes.
Yeah.
I had like less than 5 minutes. Then pretty soon people were advertising.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're here today with Jason Hershberger at the Idaho Ring Cowhorse Association show in Nampa, Idaho. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So what are you doing in town? Tell everybody why you're here.
So I'm here this week, or starting tomorrow, judging the Derby. It's the Idaho Ring Cowhorse Derby. So yeah, it's pretty cool, the NRCHA show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been here to the Idaho Ford Horse Park?
Yes, I've been here quite a bit. Showing and at the rodeo, and I used to rodeo, competing in team roping, and then I judged here quite a bit over the past probably 5 or 6 years. I've judged the Idaho Fraternity in like October, November when it is, and then like I've been here a few other times judging in the spring usually.
Right.
Yeah.
You've done the Gym State here before too,
Yes.
haven't you? Yeah. Yeah.
Judged here, a couple different. What's cool about this facility is how there's different associations that use it. You guys, Idaho's so cool with the cow horse because you guys have like these little groups, but they're all like really strong. It's really cool to see that.
Yeah.
Within a state, you have individual clubs or whatever organizations, and I've thought about that before. How cool it is that Idaho has that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is cool, and we even have some board members that are on both boards.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty hardcore group of cow horse people. Up
yeah,
here. It's
yeah.
pretty cool.
We have a good group in the Treasure Valley here and in the surrounding states. So
Yeah.
we're pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
And to have this nice facility
Yeah,
as
this
well.
place is awesome to show in. And,
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're sure happy to have you in town judging the show, and looking forward to another great week of horse showing. We were actually here last week too. So we're in week 2, but looking forward to it. So I wanted to bring you on today and kind of share some of your judging experiences and maybe give all of our viewers some ideas and tips and tricks on how to perform better in a judge's eye. But before we get into all of that, I'd kind of like people to get to know you a little bit more, understand your background and where you're coming from. So why don't you let us know a little bit about your past?
Okay, so I mean, I grew up through rodeo, high school rodeo, all the way through college rodeo, and I'm from Arizona. So, I mean, I went a year of college in Texas, and I came back to college in Arizona, and then I did pro rodeo for a few years there and team roping, and I mean, that went pretty good. At least I held myself together during that time when I was, before I was married and had a family and stuff.
Right.
And and then it kind of, and I always kind of showed horses. Growing up, though, I showed quarter horses and the roping and the cow horse when I was like a teenager, and through the AQHA mostly at that
Okay.
point in time. So I was fortunate to show when I was growing up, and I would go ride with a lot of the top trainers in Arizona, and learn from them.
Right.
You know, different things from different trainers is probably where I've been very fortunate in my life. And so through AQHA showing, growing up, and high school rodeo and all that, and I add all that together, and all of a sudden, after I was kind of done like pro rodeo and stuff, I start training for other people that I knew. Hey, I'm gonna send you this horse. Well, actually, I took my first horse in training when I was like a junior in high school. I had a couple horses in training.
Nice.
Yeah, and then like my senior year, I went half a day, and I'd come home and ride my horses. So that was
Perfect.
pretty cool. You
Yeah.
know, I had the opportunity for people that, I mean, I was pretty young, but they wanted me to train the horse, so that was cool. And then kind of fast forward, I start training for real, you know, and like showing, and that's when the quarter horse shows, AQHA was big in showing rope horses, and then I evolved into cow horse, and then NRCHA showing. Um, and I was fortunate to be able to train for some really cool people that provided me with some good horses.
Right.
Good horse flesh is the what a trainer needs, you know. If you don't have that, it's really tough. But I was
Yeah.
fortunate to get some good horsepower to go show at a national level, and you know, have some success and all that. Um,
So let's rewind back to those early days. So, was your household growing up, your parents very into
well,
horses?
yeah, I mean, like my dad didn't train or anything, but the funny thing is, we always had horses, and my sister and I, we did like little horse shows, like blue ribbon horse shows, kind of like 4-H, but like that was a pretty, you know, we were little kids, like 5 years old, so whatever, we were pretty young. And, um, but then my cousin had a ranch in Colorado. We go visit them in the summer, and they rope. You know, okay, and then all of a sudden I'm like 8 years old, and I'm like starting roping the dummy with my cousin in the summer. And then my dad bought me my first rope horse from my cousin. So I'm like 8 years old, 8, 9 years old, and I start roping, and my dad started roping at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So we learned together. And my
That's
dad got really good. You know, we worked at it hard. We built an arena at our place, and we practiced every day
nice.
as I was growing up through. And so I was very fortunate that way that I had the opportunity. And we kind of, then our horse thing just grew. We just, pretty soon we got more horses. And then probably with me with the rope horses, when I was a teenager, like, you know, 13, 14, 15, my dad was pretty cool about finding like a pretty nice 3-year-old. And in fact, they were buying horses for a couple $1,000, 1,500, as opposed to right what they cost now.
Yeah.
So we would buy a pretty nice horse, and then I would train them, and I had to 2 or 3 at a time. Kind of made my own horses, so I
And
kind of
this
grew
is
up.
way back in middle school. You're
Yeah, I'm like
already
13, 14 years old,
starting your own training
training my own
business.
horses
Nice.
with some help. But I was lucky to go ride with other guys, Mike Drennan, David Avery, John Miller, the Arizona guys that helped me a lot to learn. And then, so that's kind of where I learned how to train from these guys. I
Nice.
would go ride with them all the time. That was pretty cool. I was just fortunate to have these opportunities when I was young, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so it kind of made me who I am. You know, whether it's good or bad, that's what happened. So, you know, yeah.
So then high school rodeo?
Yeah, that was pretty cool in Arizona, and I mean, I had some success there and won like state and team roping and all that, and went to nationals, and that was, you know, pretty cool. And then always had the AQHA though, because that was my influence was like showing horses. So then, like for me, like I go to the rodeos, and I mean, I had good horses because I worked at that. And I really still believe like any event, roping, cow horse, whatever, obviously cow horse, but like roping, you know, there's a skill there. But if you have a really good horse, it's way easier.
Yes.
So I always worked on my horsemanship. To me, the horsemanship part of like the roping was the most important thing. That's kind of what was like impressed into me from who I was learning from. And I think I was fortunate that way because that's what I knew, you know. So then, you know, high school, we did a lot of jackpot roping. That was that's always something I've always loved to do. And yeah, so
Was it always team roping, or did you do
yeah, I
some
did
tie down roping?
tie down too. You know, back in the day, it was just called calf roping.
Yeah, it sounds weird now to
But
say.
yeah, through high school rodeo and college, I was calf roping. Then at the AQHA level, the quarter horse shows, I trained some pretty cool calf horses back in the day when I could still move a lot faster than I can now. You know, I was calf roping pretty decent at the time, and I had some, you know, a couple horses in the top three in the world show in the calf roping. So that was team roping was always like my kind of, I would say, more my thing. So when I got where I was competing, I go out to Oklahoma, calf roping's pretty tough, and I could hang with those guys like in the spring show and stuff and Redbud. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. Then going to the world show, and I got my horses in the finals, and you know, a couple of them in the top three horses a couple different years. That was pretty, for me, as self accomplishment for myself that I really wanted to achieve. And so that's kind of cool. I still have in my house a really cool picture of one of my calf horses that's kind of means a lot, you know, because that was
Right,
one I trained from the very beginning,
right.
and he was a pretty cool horse. So
One of those ones that maybe changed the directions and
yeah,
choices you made, things you've
yeah, there
learned.
was a few of those horses right then when I was in my, you know, kind of early on in my horse training career and stuff. There, you know, I said it already, but yeah, if you have to have that kind of horse, that horse, or one or two, or you know, I had three or four at a time in the trailer that were the ones that helped kind of shape it for me. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about those AQHA shows. I've never had the privilege of participating in one, but it seemed to be, a while back there, that was kind of
Yeah,
the
that
main thing.
was so the AQHA in the roping and the cow horse and the cutting. It was big. Kind of before everything now is so specialized. I mean, you always had NRCHA and you always had the NCHA, but the quarter horse shows then you would go to like the big circuits. Like there was the um, in Oregon and Pueblo, Colorado, and Sun Circuit in Arizona, and throughout the year to get the horses qualified for the World Show. And it was to get horses qualified it wasn't easy, you know. But that's what we did. That's what we like strive for. Was like an AQHA World Championship,
Yeah.
and the World Shows in Oklahoma City, and it's still there, and it kind of maybe dropped, but now it's kind of coming back. It's kind of getting its luster back. For a while, it kind of dropped off, but now I think it's kind of coming back. But there for a while back in the day, I could say that because that was a while ago, you know, and it was big, and everybody went. Like all your guys from the Northwest, your cow horse trainers, your Dan Rogers and your Wade Rennies, these guys were all there. And then all the guys from Arizona, I mean, everybody was trying to be at the World Show. And there'd be 80 horses in like the junior cow horse, which is like a derby. Junior and AQHA's horse is 5 and under.
Okay.
Okay. So the senior horses are 6 and older. So, you know, I mean, the reining big and the cutting, there's 60 horses in that. So to be at the Quarter Horse World Show back in the day, and you could say that, but it was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
It was the deal.
So when you showed up to that, did you have a horse for every event, or did you have kind of the all-around horse?
Well, that's a good question, you know, and I kind of would say I'm kind of like an all-around guy because I did the roping, and then the cow horse, and then I got into cutting, and um, pretty cool. In one year, um, I'm pretty sure I'm the first roper that made the finals in the cutting. It was a junior cutting. Horse was 5 at the time, and they had these really cool things at the World Show for the audience. These headphones, and you could get one and put it on, and then they had like guys commentating the finals.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's cool.
And they're talking about in the finals and the cutting, and there's like, you know, all these top cutters. I mean, all the top guys are there, and you know, Phil Rapp and all these guys that have won millions of dollars, and they're like, so and so is coming in on, you know, and he's a $3 million rider, and you know, this horse won 80,000 last year in NCHA, and then it was funny because my mom and dad were there, and my dad had the headphones. He thought this was pretty cool. And he said, yeah, it was funny when you came in, they're like, Jason Hershberger, well, he's got, you know, had like at the time, like 5,000 or 6 in NCHA earnings. And they're like, and then the commentator guys are like, he showed this horse last year here in the cow horse. Because one of my cow horses that I transitioned into cutting, and his name was Chica Starlight. He was a smart Chicalino's son. He was a cool horse. And they're like, this guy's, he's also out here he's a roper, you know? So it's kind of cool. I was like the first roper at the World Show to make the finals in the cutting.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but I really wanted to branch into the cutting and the cow horse. So I really worked at it. And I really think too, when I learned how to train a cutting horse, a great friend of mine, Joe Suter, taught me how to train cutting horses. He was my neighbor. And Joe taught me how to train cutting horses, which on that horse, like he would coach me through it. It was so cool, you know. And I was fortunate at then to go in Arizona. I'd go ride with Todd Bergen and John Slack a lot. And Teddy Robinson came out and did a clinic, and I went to Teddy's clinic when I was like kind of starting that whole thing. And so I was really I would always look for these guys to go ride with, to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what shaped me, you know, for learning how to train horses. And I know for sure when I learned how to train like a cutting horse and the cow horses, my rope horses got way better.
Yeah.
Because all the horsemanship, which I already had the horsemanship background from when I was younger, but then it really kept adding to it.
Fine-tuned it a bit.
And so that was fortunate to get to ride with all those guys and then go compete with them like at the World Show. And then eventually I'm going to the Snafflebit Futurity, and, you know, Teddy and John Ward and all these guys that I look up to, I got to go compete with them and stuff. So, yeah, for sure, all my horse training was kind of like all the stuff with cattle, roping, cow horse cutting, but it all kind of went together,
right,
in a certain way. And I'm glad I did all of it. You know, I think I would have got bored just doing one. I don't know, like, kind of kept me interesting. Kept it interesting.
Absolutely. Well, that's the best part about cow horse is getting to do 3 events.
Yeah,
right?
the cow horse, honestly, yeah, because you're not just doing the reining.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of a deal there. It was cool too. Like if I was training a cow horse, maybe he's not quite doing it. I'd start roping on him, and he's already going really good. It would make a pretty good rope horse. But I also, way back then, I found that I got a couple horses in that were what you'd probably call like burnout of the cow horse in the reining. Just like they were tired of it, kicking out lead changes and stuff.
Right.
And I start roping on them, and I never schooled him in the cow horse at home. I start roping on him. I'm talking, the one in particular, this horse was awesome. John Slack trained him. This horse was what we call rank. I mean, I rope on him, head and heeling, calf roping. I took him to the World Show that next year in 4 events. And so the cow horse, I never schooled him at home. I just go show him. And after all the roping, he was great to show him the cow horse again. Because he wasn't tired of it.
Right.
Because the rope, and he got to be a really good rope horse.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. He ended up in Arizona, like in the quarter horse deal back then. He was like the state champion all around horse for a couple years in a row. So that was kind of fun because that was a horse that they'd kind of gave up on. He kind of was burnt out of cow horse, but roping on him brought him back, and then I was able to show him in everything. Mm-hmm. So he was a really cool horse. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have that reset button. And
it did.
Sometimes horses need a change of scenery for a bit before they can focus again.
And then you can take them back to what they were. It's amazing how it kind of works that way.
Yeah, and it makes sense. We all kind of need that every once in a while too, right? Yeah, absolutely. So that sounds like there was a lot of opportunities in that AQHA world back then. And maybe you gained a lot of experience through that.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, what about, I mean, what time frame are we in? About how old are you through all of this?
So like that's when I'm like in my mid-20s, you know, like through like 30, you know, like, so I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but I might have to, you know. People know how, you know, I can date myself, but like, because I have my oldest son's 27, so
right, yeah,
you know, you kind of give that away.
Yeah.
He just turned 27. But yeah, like when I'm like in my 30s and 40s and stuff, that's when like that kind of that heyday was, and then kind of more like in the last, you know, and then I went pretty hard in the NRCHA
Mm-hmm.
there for about 10 years. And I mean, I probably kind of got a little bit burnt out of like going to horse shows.
Mm-hmm.
And like now I mean, the NRCHA is so good. I should be going hardcore. And I've got a couple 2-year-olds I'm training now, kind of getting, maybe I'm going to come back to showing. But honestly, I was probably a little kind of burnt out
Yeah.
of just going and being,
Yeah.
I like being home now.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like the older we get, the more we like
Yeah.
that.
And, you know, but probably what kept me home there quite a bit there when my boys were teenagers in high school, I was still training horses, but I wasn't going showing that much. They were doing high school rodeo and junior rodeo and stuff and horse shows. So honestly, I enjoyed just hauling them around. I didn't want to miss that.
Right.
And they wanted to do it. So that's what I did there for 10, the way my boys are spread out in age is like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I was still showing and training, but not as much.
Right. Maybe they took priority for a few years.
Kind of, yeah, you know, and I'm not, whatever. I'm fine with it because
Yeah.
that's what I did, you know, and I'm not like looking back, oh, I wish I would have went to this horse show.
Right. Yeah. No.
Because I mean, there's gonna be another horse show next week. You know, if
Yeah.
I want to get going again to horse showing, they're there.
They're there. Yep.
And I kind of do a little bit. I'm kind of motivated on some young horses that I'm training right now. So that's cool. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So in what time frame were you really kind of focusing on the PRCA and the real?
that's like when I was like in my 20s, like low 20s,
Mm-hmm.
like 21, you know, to 25, 26. And that's about when I got married, about 26.
Right.
25 actually, probably when I got married. So, and then I still rodeoed after we were married. But when we started having kids, I kind of didn't, I still went to some, more like what they call like your circuit rodeos, like close to home.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to leave for like weeks at a time. And what's funny is after I kind of like stayed, what you call like stayed home, going to circuit rodeos, I almost did better. Like had you know, some big wins like at the Dodge Circuit Finals and stuff,
Nice.
and team roping. And it's like, man, we should be going for the NFR now because we just won that and stuff. But it's all good, you know, because it was all stepping stones, and it was like, you know, I really believe in what God's plan is for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that I'm older, I realize it. When I was at that age, I didn't realize it when I was in my 20s and 30s and even probably like 40s, like 10, 15 years ago. But now I'm like, this whole life is like been planned out for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know what it is, but now I've like realized it.
Right.
So that's for me, I don't even look back. I'm like, man, that was cool what we did. And I might do it the same way or whatever, you know, but,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I really kind of, because I've seen so much happen lately that was like not my idea. And it happened. I'm like, wow, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be for me, for my family and stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but the rodeo stuff was cool for a long time. And then just like driving all night and all that was kind of crazy, but I can still do that. But like, it's like, you know, for a while when you're young is okay. But
Yeah. That's kind of a young man game.
yeah, yeah, I'm over that.
For sure. So you're still training quite a lot of rope horse futurity horses though, right? And
Yep.
competing in the rope horse futurity
I
world.
am, yeah, and I'm kind of like same thing. I'm kind of getting like rejuvenated for that too. I've got a couple really cool futurity rope horses right now. I'm gonna go show them in a few weeks at a really big one in Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's pretty cool. And then my cow horses are only 2-year-olds, so maybe you'll see me next year at some futurities. We'll see.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the rope horse futurity world. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it seems like it's really evolved in the last, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So, of course, we had the AQHA for years, but that was just only judged. So the rope horse futurities now, and Jay and Lindsay Wadhams, it's their brainchild, their baby, call it whatever. But they've made it. It's really cool what they've done. And Jay started it longer ago than how it's really taken off in the last 6, 8 years, 5 years. Going back like 15 years, he started it, and it didn't like take off, but it did kind of to some of us that knew about it, because he had some of them, and they were really good in the very beginning. And then I think he was trying to get the sponsorship and stuff, and then it came back like 5 or 6 years later to now. So it's really taken off.
Yeah.
And how they work is they have two judges, and it's on judged and timed. So you got to make a good run, like a good solid run. Um, and they take, so it's like a third, and a third. So the time is a third of your score, your final score, and each judge is a third of it.
Okay.
So the way it works out, the judging is similar to like rein cow horse. Starts with like a score of 70 and goes up or down. Pretty similar score sheet that we use for the rope horse futurities. But it can go a little higher. Like a really good run's like an 80, which in cow horse are really good runs like 76. So the score sheet varies a little bit, but not a lot. But then they take the time from 80 and subtract it. So say your time is an 8 flat, your score time is a 72.
Okay.
Okay, so that's easy math on that. But it comes out really good how it works. Like their little formula, I really think it does work good. And
Yeah.
it's really cool because it's brought in like rodeo guys and jackpot guys into training and showing futurity horses, and it's getting big.
It's getting pretty competitive.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
really tough.
Yeah.
But now guys are buying like, some owners are buying like, not used to be like get the reject like cutters and cow horses to rope on. Now they're buying, there's some top trainers and owners that they're not playing around. They've bought guys like Snout Bit Futurity, like the horses that like placed like in the top 5 at Snout. Horses that cow horses that already won like 80 or 100,000, and they start roping on them. And now you're like, wow, this is a tough horse because it's got all the moves and the training. A cow horse is, I'm not saying it's easy, but they're pretty fun to train to rope.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a lot easier than taking one that's not a cow horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've already got all the buttons in
It's
place.
all there. You just don't mess it up at this point. You just can go train him.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see that horsepower coming in to rope. I mean, every discipline now, cow horse, roping, cutting, the bloodlines in the horses are amazing. It's really cool to see it like in our, it's like, where's it going to go next? You know, it's really cool.
Well, and it kind of appears that the rope horse guys are kind of building their own horses now too.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing all kinds of breeding programs developing
For
around
sure. Now
that.
they're breeding rope horses.
Yeah,
and
for
they have kind of, it's interesting. A lot of your good rope horses have like a little more like we call like Rainer bloodlines. It's almost like mixed together now. They're mixing like running horse bred horses, like some like dash for cash bred horses, like some racehorse bloodlines with cutting bloodlines and raising head horses. And it's pretty crazy the stuff that they're trying, and it's actually working on some of them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to see it actually. And so now I'm breeding a few mares. I'm like, okay, what should we breed her to? And that's been kind of fun. But I'm breeding a couple again to call me Mitch, because that horse is so cool. I've witnessed him a lot showing, and I think those will go any direction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start him in the cow horse. So
yeah, he's cool. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so that's just some ideas that I have there, and but the one I'm showing out in Utah in the Healing, he's Rainer bred, which on the top side's Shining Spark influence, and Hollywood done it. So I mean, honestly, I think if anytime you could put Shining Spark on a horse's bloodlines, they make rope horses. That's been over to like the past like 20 some years. I've noticed that. So kind of doing that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So another big focus for you is actually your performance horse sale, which is huge.
Yeah, that's my little idea, brainchild. Like 20 years ago, I'd been going like the Snout Bit Futurity horse sale and the Reigning Futurity horse sale, and watching these horse sales, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a need for this in Arizona. And when I told Nikki, I was like, I came home from Reno that year in September, and I said, we're gonna put on a horse sale. She's like, you're what? I go, she was like, you're crazy. And some of my ideas, she just looks at me and just walks away, because 30 years she's put up with me. So some of the stuff I come up with,
she must have been okay with some of it.
Some of it she's put up, yeah, somehow. She goes, you're what? I go, yeah, we're gonna put on a horse sale. I go, it's gonna work, we can do it. And sure enough, the first year, and Doug Williamson and gosh, so many guys I talked to them about it, and they go, we'll do it, we'll consign them.
Oh, wow.
And I can't hardly name everybody that consigned horses. The first year's like 70 some horses. And Ray Siggins was a guy in Arizona. He's a rope horse guy, but he put some in, and they helped me. They put in good horses, and it worked. Like the first 3 years, I'm like, hey, this is gonna. It kind of kept working, and then we just kind of kept tweaking it and trying to make it a little bit better. And now we've really stuck with. We have it at Scottsdale at Westworld, and we kick off the censored quarter horse show. So our horse sales on a Friday, and the next day is the rope horse futurity.
Oh,
So we
perfect.
kick off that whole show. It's really fun to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And that's been like the last 5 years of being there. Like I'm hoping that's like our spot that we can have it every year and stuff. So that's been pretty, really lucky to be there with them. And
Yeah.
but it's been going pretty decent.
And that's every year in February,
Yeah, we usually do it
right?
like because the censorship kicks off like March 1st, February 28th, March 2nd or 3rd. So it's right there, right around very end of February.
Nice.
Mhm.
So, I mean, do you mind if I ask how many horses did you end up with consigned last
Like
year?
this year, like 100. Like I'd like to be like 100, about 100 horses is good for us if we can do that.
Do you cut it off at a certain
Yeah,
number?
we need to because I turned away like another 100. I don't want 200 horses and it's too big of a it's too
Right.
much.
Right.
So I kind of go through everything and
And do you kind of,
select it.
yeah, is
Yeah,
it
yeah, it's
invitational or?
invitational to a point, but like people contact me, hey, I want to get a horse in. Like, okay, send me your stuff, and then every year I get a few new people in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is it primarily rope horses or do you
Well,
have
it
some all
kind of
around?
is, but we've sold some really cool like ranch riders and some cow horses. There's horses right now that we sold a couple years ago that are going in the cow horse. There's one kid that's in high school rodeo that's doing really good, and his horse came from our sale is a cow horse, and he ropes on him, Heelan, and so it's been really cool to see the horses from our sale that we sold go on, and a lot of them are roping, but there's quite a few that are doing all kinds of stuff with their new owners and having success. So that's for me, that's kind of one of the coolest parts about it is kind of following these horses, and then like I'll see somebody like, I bought this horse at your sale 5 years ago. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Like get a jackpot roping or something,
Right.
or and that's what's kind of cool for me to whatever you want to call it. It's kind of neat.
I'm sure it's rewarding knowing that you're helping get
Yeah,
horses in the right
it's
homes
kind of
and
cool to think that we've sold a couple thousand horses or whatever, and they're all not all, but a horse is a horse. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but
yeah, for
a
sure.
lot of them have really done well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet that's been a really fun project and I'm sure you've met a lot of interesting people through that process as
Well,
well.
what I do now have from the horse sale and the consigners is a lot of them are really good friends of mine now, and I didn't know them, and they got a hold of me. Hey, could I get a horse in your sale? 8, 10 years ago, whatever. I'm like, yeah, and now some of my closest friends are from our horse sale consigners and people that help me put on this, our ring crew and our auctioneers and stuff. These are people I would have never met had I not started the horse sale.
Right.
So I kind of go back to my one thing, like there's a reason to do this, and now I have like a ton of great friends from it. And I'm very fortunate how many people I know and friends I have. Like my phone, I have like a lot of contacts, right? It's a lot. It's kind of crazy. That are friends of mine and stuff.
Yeah.
So
The horse community is
Yeah.
tight knit, no doubt.
yeah, and that's really cool about it is one thing is the people that we know from that and stuff.
Right. So how many years have you been judging?
Okay, I got that. I wrote it down because I actually got a hold of NRCHA and I thought it was that. But I've been judging NRCHA 17 years.
Wow.
So it started like 2008. AQHA, I started AQHA roping, like they have specialized for roping, and that was like 25 years ago.
Wow.
So like the year 2000.
Yeah.
And I started doing the roping, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I want to start judging cow horse. And then I got my NRCHA card, and then also for AQHA cow horse. And now I can actually do too AQHA ranch versatility.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are kind of fun. They're to see that. It's a whole other group of people that I've got to know.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of cool. I can go judge. I've judged the AQHA Versatility World Show out in Oklahoma last 2 summers ago now at the Lazy E. That was pretty cool.
I bet.
Yeah. And
Watching good horses doing
yeah, it just,
whatever they do good is
yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah. And those you have to judge the conformation, which is pretty cool. It's like the old like halter class, like walk around them. And that's kind of cool to try to evaluate. It's hard.
I bet.
You're going to go out there like at the Versatility World Show, there's like 30 horses in there to tire 40 and like trying to pick a first one winner.
And none of them are dinks.
Oh, they're good looking horses.
Yeah.
So but it's pretty cool. It's a challenge and I kind of like doing that. And, but probably I really like judging the cow horse because for me, the horses that I've got to watch, I've been fortunate to judge a lot of pre-futurities. Mm-hmm. In the last 5-6 years, I've judged a lot of shows. I kind of like doing it. I haven't judged Snail Bit Futurity, the big one. Honestly, I mean, I would like to, but then because it's a long show. I don't know if I could be gone from home for like 2 weeks. I probably could. I could get everything set up, but I've judged all the pre-futurities, like Idaho, NSA in Vegas, the stock horse show, Texas in August. So yeah, I've done a lot of those.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
And actually Colorado State Fair. I'm doing it again this year.
Nice.
I'm gonna judge Colorado State Fair this year. I judged last year there in the Versatility. Now I'm gonna go judge the cow horse there. And that's a fun show.
Yeah.
It's doing their state fair. So yeah, I've been fortunate to judge a lot of places. Started out judging rope and like I've judged the Houston Livestock Show like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
I've kind of lost. I kind of lost count, but but it's been a lot. And you go judge Houston, then go to the rodeo that night and the concert. It's pretty cool. And so yeah, I've judged I've judged the Quarter Horse World Show lately in the rope and then a couple years before that in the rope and I've judged it twice. Mm-hmm. So I judged cow horse and the rope in 1 year, and then last year I just did the rope in. Mm-hmm. The Red Bud is a big quarter horse circuit. I'm judging it next week again.
Straight from here to there? Or do
yeah,
you
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
home for a few days.
Yeah.
But I've judged it now. This would be like probably 5 times I've judged Red Bud. The Oklahoma Quarter Horse has been good to me for hiring me to judge, which I would like to think that I've done a decent job. That's why they called me back.
I would imagine it has something
I
to do
hope
with
so
it.
that
Yeah.
I didn't mess it up too bad. So yeah, it's cool to go. I've judged everywhere. I showed you that list.
Yeah. So what did we decide?
Yeah,
You have 20 states and
judged
Mexico?
20 states in the United States and Mexico.
So where in Mexico?
Chihuahua City. It was 2023, the first ever AQHA roping down there.
Oh, okay.
And it was during their fair called Expogon. It was awesome. It was way cool going down there, and we were treated like royalty. Like they brought us in, and yeah, it was really cool. Miguel, a great friend of mine, he got a hold of us to come down, and that was a cool experience to go to Chihuahua.
I bet.
Yeah, and then I've been, judging Hawaii. That was pretty cool.
I saw that on your list.
Yeah,
I was going to ask
Hawaii's
you about
pretty
that.
cool. And
Was that what type of show was that?
it was cow horse.
Cow horse?
Yeah, and actually a lot of it was the cutting. A lot of cutting there.
I had no idea there was even a cow horse show in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, there's some good horses over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good horses in Hawaii. Not as
Really?
many, but there is some good ones.
Now I just found a new excuse to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, go. When you want to go, let me know. I'll hook you up with some. I have some great friends in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Big ranches out there and stuff.
Beautiful too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
Yeah.
some places I've judged that are like, you think, what? There's some good cow horse in Florida and Pennsylvania, upstate New York. It's growing up there. And kind of when I went to like up there, like to New York and Pennsylvania, I would actually, after the show, go talk to them and give them some help because I kind of like doing that. And that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They were some kind of beginners and stuff. And, but yeah, I've judged the Western United States, cow horse is big and rope. And so, obviously I've judged anywhere within, California, Idaho, Washington, Oregon,
Right.
California,
Yeah.
Texas. But yeah, no, I've been really lucky to go travel. It's pretty cool to fly in, and sometimes you got to rent a car and drive like in Pennsylvania, you have to fly into Philly and drive like 2 hours, which is kind of cool to check it out.
Yeah.
Somewhere you've never been, and
Mm-hmm.
go out there and see a different whole part of the world that I'm not, green grass. I don't see that in Arizona very often.
And no sprinklers, probably. They just have green grass.
Yeah, it's amazing out there. It rains all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I've been so fortunate with judging.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by 27 Equine Marketing, the Northwest's premier equine photography and videography company, specializing in conformation and black background photos, as well as quality show reels and sell videos. For premium content, contact us to highlight your equestrian program. 27 Productions, creating digital content for the Western world. From music videos to Western wear and product promotion, we create engaging materials that connect with your audience. So you've traveled all over the country judging cow horse shows, and I'm sure we have some people listening that would love to hear some advice and some experiences from a judge's perspective, kind of help us present our best picture when we walk in the pens. So we'd love to hear some about that.
I have some things.
Okay.
I took a few notes just to make sure. Okay, I have something I like to say that like one of my favorite sayings is, small things make big differences. Okay, I hope you've heard that before. I don't know, you should have, but just like little things like, okay, obviously you have to have your horse prepared, have them warmed up good. Because I've seen it, people come in the pen and their horse, all of a sudden it's cow fresh and whatever, crow hop, and I've seen a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
So one thing you can have, a small thing, which actually is a big thing, but have your horse warmed up and stuff like that. And obviously have them groomed up good. I mean, that's pretty normal in horse shows, but that's nothing I should have to tell anybody. They kind of know that, but okay, I got a pretty good one. I got a couple pretty good ones. Going to being prepared, okay. So Bob Avila and I were judging in Tennessee, and Bob, we lost Bob this last year. Bob was a great mentor to me. He was amazing, training horses and judging. When I got to go judge with him, I've judged with him a couple different times, and it was awesome hanging out with him. So we were out there in Tennessee judging, and it's about the fourth day of a big show. There's a lot of entries out there, and we're like in the non-pro. It's probably it might have been the fence where non-pro bridle or non-pro boxing. I don't remember for sure. But this guy comes in the arena, and it's like, it's 5 o'clock in the evening by now, and we're like, okay. And this guy comes in and starts his pattern. He has a yellow shirt. I don't know if you know this. That's bad luck. I mean, that's like, well, you're not going to find me with no yellow shirt.
I've heard that many times, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, which I don't know. If you have a yellow shirt, I'm not going to tell you not to wear that, but I wouldn't wear it, but you can try it. But this particular guy, I'm going to tell you what happened. So he comes in there, and by now, like, I'm kind of bored, and I tell my scribe, I go, this is going to be bad. And she's like, what? I go, just wait. I'm just joking around at this point.
Yeah.
Because I'm like trying to keep myself awake. And sure enough, this guy starts going, and I think he got through his rein work, I think. I don't even remember for sure. But anyway, starts working his cow, and he didn't have his saddle tight, and he fell off.
Oh no.
He fell off pretty bad too. Like, he didn't get hurt, but like, it was saddles under his horse. Kind of a pretty good wreck.
The horse go run around like a...
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But didn't tear it up. But it was like a no breast collar. That's something else that I'm pretty... Now, I've seen top trainers show without breast collars, but I'm probably going to have one on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny was Bob and I are sitting, he's down there like 20 feet away. He's far away. We both lean back on our chairs like this. And we're like, yellow shirt. Like, at the same time, we comment that the guy's bad luck, and he fell off, was because he wore a yellow shirt. And like our brains registered the same thing at the same exact time. I'm like, okay, that was cool. You know.
That's so funny.
So, now I don't think it was the guy's yellow shirt, but the fact was he didn't have the cinch tight.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like that, make sure your equipment is right. Tighten your saddle up. I mean, cinch them up. When you're turning a cow, that thing, you don't want it just like snug, like you're warming them up.
Right.
You got to tighten your saddle down. And because I've seen that before, but this particular time it really stuck out because I was judging, and so that's one of the that's one of the variables you have control over.
Right.
You know, when we're showing, there's variables we don't have control over, like what cow's going to come run out of the gate or how the ground is. You know, if a bird flies right through your pattern when you're loping the center, some stuff can happen, right? I've seen it all. But tighten your saddle. Your hobble strap from your front cinch to your back cinch is hooked good, so your rear cinch doesn't go on your horse's flanks.
Flank strap.
Because they'll buck you off, you know. That your head stall is connected to your bit really good. I mean, like I hate Chicago screws. My stuff's all tied on, really good. Because I don't want my bridle falling off my horse, you know. So little things like that. That's my thing, going back to like the small things make big differences.
Right.
Your equipment, you have control of that variable. Make sure that's all secure. Your saddle, your head stall. You know, that your hat's going to stay on your head. I know girls have to use hairspray and all that.
It's a mess.
If it's not, get a string, do something, keep that hat on. You know?
I've had some embarrassing situations with that. And you know what I've resorted to is toupee tape.
Okay, whatever
On
you
your
gotta
forehead,
do,
yeah,
keep it
toupee
on.
tape.
But when I was at my cousin's ranch when I was a kid, and I just can remember, like, I was probably not even 8 years old. And he said, we're out gathering cattle on a big pasture and stuff. And that was more when I was a little bit older. I was probably a teenager because I would go there every summer. And he said, if your hat falls off out here, your head better be in it. And I was stuck with that. And I use that. And like my boys, my boys, they roped a lot and cow horsed a lot. And they've never lost their hat, because that was my saying to them. You know, if your hat falls off, your head better, and they're cinch their hat down. So little thing. Now, if you lose your hat, I'm not going to hold that against you, but
Right.
it just takes away from the appearance of your run. I mean, have you seen it before? Someone stops in the center, and they back up over their hat. Like they got like a $500 hat or $800, whatever they paid for their hat, and you just walk your horse. So I'm like, no, go around. It's not worth it.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I've seen that a lot actually. Like they lose their hat on the last stop and then back over.
And back over.
Why'd you do that?
Or they lose it on the first run down and go back.
Yeah, run it right
hit
over.
it.
How about
Yeah.
change your course a little bit?
Or their horse spooks at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's a variable you have control over, that your horse spooked your hat that you lost, 45 seconds earlier in your pattern. That was your fault.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of the things. So yeah, I just really think that your equipment. Okay. What else do I have? Okay. This is pretty cool. I was judging in McCook, Nebraska, and it's a really small indoor arena. It's a pretty cool little arena, but I'm sitting right on the center line. And by now, if you're showing in cow horse, you need to learn the markers, the penalty markers. So that's where I'm going to probably get into, like, get a trainer, get some help. You can't just go at this thing blindly. It's dangerous, number one. And go learn what you're supposed to be doing. Read the rule book. You'd be amazed how many people they're out there showing, they never even read the rule book, that they're the discipline they're showing in. That's like step number one, right?
Yeah.
So do your pattern correctly, which is your markers. Get past your rundowns, past your end marker, so the judge doesn't have to give you a 2-point penalty.
Yeah,
because
that's
you're
a
just
big
killing
one.
yourself.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And you'd be amazed. We judge like some shows and beforehand, and we talk to them, and like the high school finals. And these kids there's some kids that are awesome now.
Yeah.
It's tough, but there'll be some that they don't pass the marker. I'm like, guys, we just talked about this, in the meeting, but whatever. But so this one time I'm in McCook, Nebraska, non-pro bridle, and must have been the first horse was off the center by a good 10, 12 feet, loping through the center pattern. And I'm sitting in the center. I'm looking straight across at the other red line. And like 10 horses, they on their lope in their circles,
Right.
missed the center.
Right. And that's going to weigh heavy in
It's driving me nuts.
in your circles,
I'm up there, I'm
for
just
sure.
kidding. I mean, I'm up there going, you got to be kidding me. Another one. I'm just going, I'm up there just, so they're minusing their circle.
Right.
They're losing points by the simple maneuver of loping to a red line painted on the wall.
Right.
So pick your eyes up, watch where you're going. That's like, for me, that's like cow horse 101, reining 101. Look where you're going in your pattern. But I think what happens to people, they get so nervous, they just freeze up, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, from a non-pro standpoint, that's what I'm assuming. But if I can tell you, just look up in your pattern, look where you're going, hit the center. Because your judge is sitting there going, what? Another one. And you're minus that circle.
Right.
Minus whatever, half, one, whatever. Because those variables like that and then running past your stop, you have control of that to not lose points on that.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
you can go down there and have a terrible stop, but you're still not going to lose 2 points if you go past the center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could have a huge stop and still
Lose
lose
all
2
of it.
points.
So anyway, so what I did at that show, I'm sitting there, and, man, and then the next class is youth bridle. So I walk down there to the kids that are all getting ready. There's a good group of kids, 6 or 8 kids at least, maybe 10. And I said, okay, guys, come over here. We're going to have a little meeting. And I asked them, did they watch the non-pro? Yeah, no, whatever. I said, okay. I said, every non-pro missed the center. I said, do you guys know what the center is? You're supposed to lope through the center. And they're like, yeah, we know that. I said, okay. I said, every non-pro today did the pattern. They didn't hit the center. It was, not accurate. It wasn't the wrong pattern. They didn't do it incorrect. But I said, do me a favor, guys, girls, guys. Lope through there and hit the center of this pattern. Okay. And the youth were perfect. They did some great patterns. So what was cool was, that must have been on a Saturday, because the next day on Sunday was another non-pro bridal class. Same people. And because I know they must have asked those youth kids, what was that judge saying to you guys? Because the next day, every non-pro was perfect on their pattern. I didn't have to talk to them, but I just talked to those kids. So that was one thing that hopefully I was able to help some people out. Because I like to go judge, and if someone comes in, I mean, they're not really supposed to talk to the judge at a show, but I'll tell them. I'm not really at that show because we can't talk to them about it, but the smaller shows, like I go to Pennsylvania or New York, I think it's probably right as a judge to maybe, when you see something pretty that's almost scary, and point, hey guys, you need to if you're, your horse is kind of getting strong, running off, hey, shut him down. Oh, okay, they don't understand. So
Right.
in that situation, I think we're fine to go talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was that show. But yeah, get help. And then I got a pretty funny story in Paso Robles one time, judging the big show out there. It was the big stock horse challenge. It was huge.
Yeah.
Myself, Tom Buckingham, and Darren Miller are judging it. And it was so loud in there. People are stomping their feet, and you're right in the middle of like the bleachers. It's intense. It's way cool. And we've just been witnessing just run after run. They're just insane open bridle runs. Sandy Collier, she's going, boxing the cow. And then they got music playing super loud, right? And she's going down the fence. I mean, she is running halfway down. And like in that song, it's one of the Guns N' Roses songs. I don't remember which song it is, but it's like when the song like kicks up another notch, a whistle goes off in the song.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So in that song, I'm not sure if it's like Welcome in Jungle, one of those Guns N' Roses, one of their 2 main songs that they like to play at Cower. So I'm like, no, don't play that song, because Sandy's running down the fence, And in that song, the whistle goes off. In the song, she pulls up.
She thinks you're calling
She
her
thinks
off.
we whistled her from the judges.
Oh, no.
Right? No. Keep going. Well, now she's pulled up.
Oh.
We're like, what?
So what do you do in
So
that?
yeah, so we're like, guys, we have a little meeting, and she had to go. We told her go again, but I mean, it sucked because she had a really good run started.
Oh, no.
And her next run, I think it was still Sandy. She was very tough competitor.
Pretty handy, yeah.
So she went and made another run, but oh my gosh, that was crazy. So that was one of those things that happened when I've seen a lot of stuff when I've been judging. That was one of them. Like, wow, you have to think pretty quick. Okay, now what are we gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
And we obviously gave her another cow. She had to start completely over. So that was pretty crazy for that one. But
Something to consider when you're picking songs, I
do
guess, for
not
the announcer, huh?
use it. Tell the announcer, do not use that song
Yeah.
in the fence work, because you'll hear that song now and you'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to be watching for it
You're
because
like,
you
"Oh,
do
no,
hear it all the time.
Don't
Yeah.
play that song in the fence work. No, okay, something else for the non-pros. This is, I can emphasize a lot, is get a trainer, go get some lessons. In your area, wherever you live, hopefully there's cow horse trainers. I'm sure there is, because it's pretty much, worldwide now. I mean,
Yeah.
go get a trainer. And like a lot of your trainers, they learn from the other trainers. It's all passed down.
Yeah.
Okay, I learned from other trainers. Everybody learned from each other. Now a lot of your top trainers ride with each other. They're just getting better and better because they coach on each other.
Yeah, it's a very a community where a lot of information is
Yeah.
passed and shared, and you don't see that in all of the
No, it's
performance
pretty
sports
cool.
worlds.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of your cutters and stuff help each other too.
Yeah.
But it's cool how it's just getting everything's so tough. It's because everybody's like putting their mind together. Okay, what can we do to make these turns a little better or whatever, So get a trainer and go get some lessons and read the rule book.
Yeah.
That's something else. You'd be surprised. And something else like the major shows, like the show right here or any of them in your area. Okay, we all love to go watch the horse show, right? Let's go watch the open bridle. Yeah, we see some cool runs. Go watch them at 2 a.m. schooling the horses,
Yes.
okay? Go watch them out there in the practice pen, in the cow pen at 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch them work the flag. I'm talking about the top trainers. Okay, who's the top trainers? And just go out here in the middle of the night. They're probably out here riding their horses.
Yep. Agreed.
It's like, these guys are hardcore. Like, when do they sleep? You're like, but,
They don't.
they'll if you go watch in the practice pen. So my sons have worked the Derby on the cow crew the last several years in Scottsdale. And they'll call me, Dad, you gotta hear what I was out there and Chris Dawson was schooling his horse like at 3 because they worked the practice pen in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And Dawson, he was out there, just me and him, and I was helping him like get the cows out, and he was helping me get cows, and he was schooling his horses.
Yeah.
And they said it was so cool what they learned by talking to him in the middle of the night schooling his horses.
Absolutely.
And he's one of the best there is.
Yes.
And he's worked at it to get to there. And he paid his dues. He did all that. He's
Yes.
one of the guys right now. But these top trainers in the practice pen is where you can learn.
Yeah. Watching during the horse show doesn't teach you a whole lot other than
So
how to
that's
be a
something
really
I
good
really
showman.
can emphasize is go watch them schooling their horses. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
And then go watch them the show and go, okay, I watched him school that one last night. That's cool what he just did today.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's something that I think is probably very important.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
And
There's a lot.
okay, if I'm judging you, not just me, who's ever judging you, okay, I hate U-turns on a cow. You know what a U-turn is?
The swing of the hips.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Get over there, get your horse stopped, maybe get them rocked back on their hocks, then turn with the cow.
Yes.
But we've all seen it, and I'll see it this weekend probably. Hopefully not, because cow horse is getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
Probably some non-pros going to forget come about Sunday afternoon and do a big old U-turn over here on their cow. But because just on those turns like that, you can't gain any credit.
Right.
We're up there judging. I like to judge real positive. I'm like, okay, I want to give you a good score, so give me something to give you a score with. And if you're doing like just going over there and just turning, your horse is not getting on their hop and getting stopped, there's no credit at all. It's
Yeah.
a negative, actually.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Like, get stopped with the cow.
Mm-hmm.
Cow stops, your horse has to stop, not just turn. Get them rocked back a little bit, then go turn.
Right.
That's kind of, for me, a huge thing, but it's back to my thing of like the small things make big differences. It's nothing huge, but it's just part of what you have to do to be accurate, because then you're accurate with your staying even with the cow on each turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that,
When you're not bumping your cow and making it run harder and
Yeah.
getting behind and
yeah, and watch your cow. It's probably the biggest things too, is really watch them and help your horse read the cow. If you're paying,
Mm-hmm.
don't look at your horse. That time you take your eye off and look at your horse, your cow goes that way and your horse goes that way, you're not going with them. That's when you fall off or
Right.
be grabbing, grabbing leather.
Yeah.
So, just all those little things, and that's where a trainer can help you.
Yeah.
I mean, and watch your cow and just get stopped with the cow, and
Mm-hmm.
all that goes together
For sure.
to complete the run. And like, I can go back to it all day long and just keep dwelling on it, but the pattern and the reining, getting past the markers on the stops and hitting the center, that's huge. That's half the challenge right there to create a good run.
Yeah. 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 Precision. I mean, this sport that we do is all about precision, right?
Right.
It really is. There's a very specific pattern. If you read the pattern, it is a very specific outline of exactly what they want you to do.
Right.
And the more precise you can be, the better you'll score.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit the pattern just right, and precision in the reining, and then in the cow work, that variable, that cow, you're not sure what that cow is going to do. Now you can control it by if you put your horse in the right position, but also going down the fence can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've seen some bad things, and that's something to keep in mind too. When you start running a cow and you're going down the fence, you should have a little bit of fear in you, just a little bit, not a lot. You can't be scared out there, but if you're running and your horse isn't rating or checking off when you pick up the bridle reins, hey, that's a problem, because if this cow cuts in front of you, it's going to trip your horse, and
Right.
endo ren's the last thing we want to see happen to anyone. So having control of your horse
Running
is
straight.
huge.
Yeah. Running straight, not leaning in and
Exactly.
hanging on a cow.
And that's where a good trainer can help you get your horse standing up. I did some lessons yesterday, some high school kids that they're doing really good, and in the last 5 months, they've progressed a lot. And I was having them run up alongside the cow and shut their horse down. And
Yeah.
it's called rate for dough, turn for show.
Yep.
Okay, we want the horse to rate. He's got to rate. So at home, run up there and shut him down straight, stop him. And then you go to the show, run up there, and then they're gonna turn the cow. But your horse is gonna be listening to you, paying attention when you need to shut it, pull him off a cow or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's huge to
Yeah.
have control of your horse.
Yeah. Yeah. All great advice.
Yeah, it's common sense, but it's nothing I dreamed up. This was our forefathers thought of all this stuff.
Yeah.
I just was able, to witness it and kind of learn from it.
Yeah. 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 All boils back down to that horsemanship for sure. And I think that, we kind of touched on this. I think a lot of people just walk through those gates and kind of lose that mental presence. And that's hard. I can speak from experience. I've checked out more times than I want to admit. Do you have any advice on that part of it?
I like to, when I was coaching a lot of non-pros and stuff, I would always, like for the reining, they're getting ready to go in. Okay, tell me your pattern. No, I've got it. I said, no, tell it to me. Tell me your pattern. big, fast, small, slow, changed, right, big, fast, small, slow, changed, run down. Okay. I think something like that, if you can just tell it to yourself, if you don't have a trainer right there at the back gate, talk yourself through it. Okay, and you just focus on yourself, you know. You don't got to watch everyone else. Just get your horse warmed up. You know, I like to have my horse before I go show, jog him around, get him framed up, get my horse thinking with me. Mm-hmm. Hey, come on. But go again. Go watch the top trainers getting ready. Yeah. Are they sitting over there drinking a water, talking to their whoever? No. They're focused, getting the horse jogged around, getting ready, and they're thinking about their run. So if you're a non-pro, okay, what's this guy doing? This girl, this top trainer. No, they're mentally prepared. So go through your pattern in your head, tell it to yourself. For me, that's what I do it too, you know. Tell it to someone else. Hey, I want to tell you my pattern, you know, to your whoever. Mm-hmm. And I think that would help your mind a little bit. Just these little things would help yourself. Mm-hmm. Because I know that used to work pretty good. Like, yeah. One year my son at the Youth World, I'll tell on him because it was kind of funny. He already had done really well out there. I said, tell me your pattern. He goes, I got it. I'm like, okay. He then went the wrong way.
Oh, no.
Yeah, in the cow horse. And he learned from it because he bounced back and, you know, but yeah. And I won't tell you which son it was. That way you can't. But that was just one of those deals that I should have said, no, let's slow down here. But he'd been having so much success showing, yeah, I'm fine. Even the top guys still have to go through that pattern and think about, okay, 3.5 spins left, 3.5 right. You know, you think about that pattern in your head. For me, that would be the thing to help me maybe calm my nerves a little bit before I went in.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, I got it. I know what I'm going to do now. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know what else. But that's probably one of the things, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just get out there and keep going to some shows. I mean, you got to keep entering. That's the thing. Time
in the pen is very valuable. I think that repetition of being in the pen really slows the mind and the run. I mean, I remember when I first started, I would go in and not remember what the run was when I came out. And finally now it's, you know. And
then too, like, you break your reining pattern into parts, left circles, right, and then kind of, the patterns usually flow together pretty good. So it's, you know, for me, I think it's pretty easy. But then just on your cow work, just watch your cow. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. You know, get your cow paying attention to you down the end, then go down the fence, and yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, all great advice. Yeah, absolutely. So, looking forward to this week.
Yeah, should be good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Derby horses now that are like 4 and 5 year olds that were the futurity horses last year, to see where they're at now. That's always pretty cool for me.
Yeah.
And I come judge a show, see which bloodlines of horses now are like, okay, this horse is really cool as a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Mitches and Metallic Cats and Stevies, all these different horses that we're all seeing now. Wow, you know, some cool horses, Scooter Cats, all these new up-and-coming stallions. And then see which of the old stallions are still throwing out good offspring.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that, you know, and so I like to see good horses. So that's what I'm hoping for, is to see some really cool runs. And this arena we're showing in tomorrow, and I'm showing the one I'm going to be watching, and everybody else is showing in, it's a good arena to see some good fence runs.
It really is. There's typically really good ground here, so you've got good stops, and then you've got some pretty good.
So hopefully we see a lot of cool horses, and everybody has a good time, and everybody's safe. You know, that's the biggest thing for me, is just have a great weekend showing horses, and that's going to be exciting. Yeah, for sure.
Anything else you want to cover?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, that sounds great, Jason. We sure appreciate you being in town to judge and spending some time with us before the show kicks off tomorrow. I know you got in today and had to make special arrangements to be here with us, so we sure appreciate it.
You're welcome. No, it's all good. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for riding along, and don't forget, use more leg.